Hey everyone, and welcome. We are living in this amazing world of convenience, right? I mean, pretty much anything you can think of. Movies, music, even your dinner is just a click and a small monthly fee away. But have you ever felt like that convenience is starting to feel less like freedom and more like a trap? Well, today we are going to dig into that exact feeling, the overwhelming world of subscriptions.
I mean, does this look familiar to you? You're on the couch, you've got 5 different streaming apps open, and you just scroll and scroll and scroll. You have a whole universe of entertainment right there, but you end up just rewatching something you've already seen. That feeling, that paralysis of choice, it's a huge clue that you might be caught in what we're calling the subscription trap. And you should know, that feeling of being totally overwhelmed isn't just in your head. Oh no, it is the direct result of a massive economic tidal wave. The way we all pay for things has completely changed. We've gone from a world where we bought something once and owned it to a world where we just have access through these recurring payments. Let's take a look at just how huge the shift really is.
Okay, just look at that number, 435%. That's not a typo. That is the insane growth of the subscription economy in just the last 10 years. This isn't just some little trend, it's a complete rewiring of how we all shop and consume. Seriously, think about it for a second. How many subscriptions did you have a decade ago? Now, how many do you have today? Yeah, see what I mean?
In all that growth, it translates into some serious money. In 2020 alone, the whole subscription market was worth $650 billion. To put that into perspective, that's bigger than the entire economy of a lot of countries. Every single streaming service, every piece of software, every subscription box, it's all part of this giant global engine. But when there's that much money flying around, you can bet there are some hidden costs for us, the actual customers.
So that brings us from those huge abstract numbers right down to the personal impact. All of this growth has created this brand new kind of stress, a feeling that researchers have actually given a name to. They call it subscription fatigue. It's basically the burnout we get from trying to manage our super complicated digital lives.
So here's the official definition. It's not just about the money leaving your bank account every month. It's also about the cognitive burden. You know, the mental energy you have to spend just to track, use, and cancel all these different services. It's kind of like having dozens of tiny little tabs open in the back of your brain, all just quietly draining your money and your attention. It's this low-level, constant hum of anxiety.
So let's break down what that fatigue actually feels like in your day-to-day life. The research points to a few key symptoms. First, there's the emotional stress of just juggling all the payment dates. Then, of course, the financial strain, that slow bleed on your budget from things that seem cheap on their own but really add up. There's that decision fatigue we talked about, the nothing-to-watch problem. And then there's the guilt, right? Paying for a service you haven't used in 6 months. And finally, you get this eroding trust because companies make it so easy to sign up, but man, they make it almost impossible to cancel.
So, why do we keep doing this to ourselves? If subscriptions are causing all this stress, why do we keep hitting that subscribe button? Well, to figure that out, we have to dive into the psychology of it all, because it turns out our brains are basically hardwired to fall right into this trap.
Let's talk about this really interesting concept called spendception. It's a key driver of all this. Just think about the difference between handing over a physical $20 bill versus just tapping your card or letting your info autofill online. When you hand over cash, you feel what they call the pain of paying. It's a real physical loss. But with digital payments, the whole thing feels abstract, almost not real. And that mental disconnect is the perfect breeding ground for impulse decisions.
This diagram here really shows you the whole chain reaction. You've got spendception, that feeling that digital money isn't real, which leads directly to impulse buying. And let's be honest, what's a free trial if not a classic impulse buy? That impulse then leads to what researchers call consumer purchase behavior. We click, we sign up, and half the time we forget about it. All because that first step felt so easy and weightless.
And this quote from the research just nails it perfectly. It sums up the entire cycle. We sign up on an impulse. Hey, it's a free trial, or it's only a few bucks a month. But we only deal with the consequences reactively. You know, when we see a charge on our credit card statement that we don't recognize. And that imbalance between signing up impulsively and managing reactively, that is the heart of the problem. All right, so let's shift from the psychology of why we signed up to the cold, hard reality of what it does to our bank accounts. That reactive style of management leads to some very specific and, let's be real, very frustrating financial moments. Let's see if any of these sound familiar to you.
Think about it for a second. Be honest. This is what you might call a zombie subscription. You know, the one you signed up for months, maybe even years ago, completely forgot about, but it's still there, quietly draining your account every single month.
It happens to almost everyone.
Or how about this one? That moment you're scanning your credit card bill and you see a charge from some company and you're like, what is that? It's that sinking feeling when you finally realize you've been paying for something you haven't touched in ages. It's not just about the money you lost. The research shows this experience actively makes you trust the whole subscription idea a lot less.
Okay, so let's make this really personal. On a scale of 1 to 5, 1 is no big deal, 5 is it's a total nightmare. How much of a burden is it for you to manage all your subscriptions? Just think of a number. Where do you land? The research shows that for a lot of people, that number is getting higher and higher. And if you're a 3 or more, you are definitely not alone. The mental weight is a real financial burden.
Okay, we've gone through the problem, we've looked at the psychology, we've felt the financial pain, so what now? Well, here is the good news, you are not powerless here. The same studies that laid out the problem also offer some really clear, practical ways to take back control. So let's build your action plan.
The whole game is about shifting from being reactive to being proactive, and it boils down to a simple 3-step plan. Step 1, audit. Go through your bank statements for the last few months and write down every single recurring payment. I guarantee you will find something you forgot about. Step 2, evaluate. Be ruthless. For each subscription, ask yourself, am I actually getting value here? When was the last time I used this? If you can't remember, it's time to cancel. And step 3, track. Don't let the bill be a surprise. Put your subscriptions in your monthly budget, just like rent or groceries. That turns them from a hidden cost into a conscious choice.
And all of this brings us to one last big question. The whole subscription economy was built on a promise of making our lives easier and more convenient. But somewhere along the line, for a lot of us, that's flipped. So the question I want to leave you with is this. Are your subscriptions actually serving you? Or have you started serving them, constantly managing them, paying for them, and stressing about them? The power to decide is all yours.